right, buddy. So, remind me of your name again? Griffin, that's right. Because I haven't said your brother's name, and I've heard all about your brothers and you, so I'm going to write your name. Griffin or Ian? Ian. Awesome. Okay, Griffin. So today we're going to read a piece of a book. Will you do that with me? Okay. So this is a piece of a chapter book, and it's from a book called Meet the Molesons, and this is just a small part of that book, and it's actually a part of a chapter. And what you're going to do is you're going to read the text from here all the way to this line, to me. And while you're reading, I'm going to just be taking some notes, Notes about things I want to talk to you about when we're done. And then when you get to that line, then there's some more text. You're going to read the rest inside your head. You don't have to read it out loud to me anymore.
Okay.
When you're done, you're going to retell it for me, and then I'm going to ask you some questions. That's it.
What do you mean? Oh, you mean retell?
You'll retell what this was about, and I'll guide you through that a little bit. So let me tell you a little bit about what this book is about that you're going to read, or this passage rather. So in this story, there's a narrator, and his name is Doug. And you actually, I don't think you even see Doug's name anywhere because he's telling the story. But the one telling the story, his name is Doug, and he has a sister named Dusty. And those are the two main characters in the story, Now, Doug and his sister Dusty are playing with their mother's makeup before school one morning. What is that already making you think? What are you thinking about that? Good or not good?
Not good.
Not so good, right? Not so good. So what we're going to do is we're going to read aloud and find out what happens with that, with them playing with this makeup. You're going to see the dad come in a little bit. I want you to pay attention to their interaction with the dad as well, So whenever you're ready, just read with the best expression that you have for me. Try to scoop up all those words. If you get to any tricky word, just put your finger on it. Think of all the tricky word strategies that you learned in first grade. Like think about your beginning sounds, your ending sounds. Look at the vowels in the middle. If you still can't get the word, no big deal. I'll give it to you, And I'll tell you what the word is, So I'm going to time us reading, and it's not for you. I'm not looking for you to read in a certain amount of time. It's more for me and my notes, So you don't have to worry about the timer. That's just for me, Okay. So whenever you are ready, you can begin reading about Meet the Molesons to me,
Okay. One morning, Dusty and I were getting ready for school. I found Mother's red lipstick in the bathroom. I opened it up, and I made red dots on my face. I put some more on. Great. Dusty noticed, you look like you have chicken pox. Ooh, I don't feel so well. I think I have to stay home from school. Give me that. Dusty took the lipstick. Soon we both had chicken pox. We went to bed. Time for school, Father called. Ooh, we moaned. Father ran in. What's wrong? He cried. We are sick, I said in a weak voice.
Beautiful reading. So now you can read the rest inside your head. That was beautiful reading. Keep going and we'll talk when you're done, okay? You all done? Oh, great. Okay. So what I want you to do is just to retell the story for me a little bit. And how I usually like kids to do that is I want you to first tell me, like, in one sentence, what the story was, this passage was mostly about. And then just tell me, like, first this happened, next this happened, then that happened, just like the main events in order. All right? So just from what you remember. It doesn't have to be every little detail, just the main details. So what was the story about?
It was about the moles trying to stay home from school by using their mother's lipstick.
Okay, let me just write that first. It was about them both trying to stay home from school by using their mother's lipstick?
Yeah.
Excellent. That's a great just statement. Really solid. All right, so now tell me, like, the events that happened in order. Like, first this happened, next, then, all those kind of time order words.
First, he grabbed his mother's lipstick. Then he made dots on himself, And then Dusty grabbed the lipstick and did it for herself too. And then they stayed home from school, and then they thought they were in trouble when Mom called.
Great. I'm just going to finish writing what you said, okay?
Okay.
So you said then Dusty grabbed the lipstick and put dots on as well, right?
Yes, sir.
Then they pretended to be sick, you said?
Yes, sir.
And stayed home from school.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. All right, so now I'm just going to ask you 4 questions, okay? And 2 of the questions are going to come right from the text. Try to see if you can remember them from your brain, but if you really have to, you can use the text to look at, okay?
Yes, sir.
And then the last 2 questions I'm going to ask you, they don't come from here, they come from sort of your brain. You have to sort of like guess. We call it inferring. You're going to kind of sort of guess the answers based on what you read, okay? So let me ask you the first question. So the first question is, how does Doug get the red dots on his face? Kind of answered that in your retell, but why don't you answer that again?
By using the lipstick.
Good. Okay. Where were Doug and Dusty supposed to be that
At
day?
school.
Okay. Okay, so now comes a little bit more challenging questions, okay? What do you think, what do you think is going to happen when Doug and Dusty see their mom? What do you think is going to happen?
I think they're going to think that she is very frustrated at them.
Okay. And why do you think that?
Because their mom screamed for them.
Okay. And last question. Okay. So the last question is, it says, Dusty at the end says, we can even look at it, it says, I never felt so good being sick. Where did we have that? Yeah, this is heaven, Dusty said. I never felt so good being sick. What do you think Dusty really meant by saying that?
He meant he felt good about not going to school.
Okay. Can you say more about that?
Because he felt good about it because he got an excuse that got him out of school.
Awesome. So was he really sick?
No.
No. Excellent. All right, buddy. Excellent. So let me just tell you some really good things that you did as a reader. Can I share that with you? So I noticed that your fluency was really, really strong. You were reading a lot of words per minute, especially for the beginning of 2nd grade. And you had lots of expression. And when characters were talking, I could tell the characters were talking. You changed your voice. It was almost like you were acting, like you were taking on the role. So I really loved that. And you can see here that all these checks, do you know what all these checks mean? They mean that you got all of those words correct. So you only had a couple words that you just missed, and I think you just kind of skimmed over them. You were reading so nice and fast that you just missed a couple words, but it didn't hurt the meaning of the text for you. So you're doing some really nice things as a reader, and you're really not only reading, you're remembering that text. You were able to retell some of it for me. You were able to think about the text and infer, which a lot of 2nd graders in the beginning of the year aren't able to do yet. So I just wanted to let you know that you're doing some really high things as a reader, and I think you're going to have a great 2nd grade reading year. So high five. Thanks for meeting with me. All right. So, do you know what a habit is? When people have habits, what does that mean to you? What does that word mean to you, habit?
Wait. Like doing something that you do all the time that turns into a habit.
Yes, you just do it all the time. It just becomes like second nature. It's routine. Okay, hands down, hands down.
I used to have it.
So, you did that. What's your habit?
I'm over now, but I used to suck my thumb all the time.
That can become a habit. I used to have that habit too when I was little. I had that as a big habit of mine. So habits are things that we just do automatically without even thinking about it, right? So, like, I had some habits today, and I bet you have some of the same ones. I got up and I didn't even think about it, but I brushed my teeth, right? I got ready as I'm brushing my teeth every day. That's just a habit that I'm into. I just kind of just do it without thinking. I want to introduce you to two things that I care about very much. These are my dogs, Toby and Cooper, right? So, come on back. So Toby and Cooper have a lot of habits, okay? Some are bad, some are good. Some of their good habits, well, whenever I take a bone out of the jar, right away, without even asking, they both sit and they put their paw up. I don't even ask them for their paw. They are so used to sitting and giving me their paw and shaking when they get a treat that as soon as they hear that jar, that top come off the jar, they're already in the kitchen sitting and their paw is up like this. Okay? Another habit they have is, well, he doesn't have that habit so much, but this one right here, whenever I get the leash and he hears the leash jingling, he runs to the front door and sits and is waiting for me to put the leash on. So dogs have lots of habits, right? So in kindergarten, you guys had a lot of habits with reading, right? So you were learning to read in kindergarten and you're continuing to learn to read in first grade, but you had some habits, like I bet you had this habit. So I bet in first grade you learned to read by touching the words, right? By using your finger. So I would read like this. This is the day you begin. Thumbs up if you remember having a habit like that in kindergarten with reading, right? Good, I see lots of thumbs coming up, right? So I wanted to share something with you though. That's what we did in kindergarten, and you'll still do that for a little bit in first grade, but what first grade readers really start to do is they start to get in the habit of reading with their eyes instead of their finger. So when we read with our eyes, we tend to read faster and we tend to understand what we're reading better, okay? So you wanna know a secret? Come closer if you wanna know a secret. Come in closer, I'm gonna tell you a secret. So today, what I wanna teach you, that it's important to practice reading with your eyes instead of your finger, so that you can read more quickly and smoothly, and you can get more words at a time, reading phrases quicker instead of word by word, okay? So I wrote a little bit of our read aloud from yesterday, right? Remember the read aloud, the day you begin that we did together? I rewrote a page of that up here. And so I wanna go back and tell me if this is how you think I should read it, if this is reading with my eyes, okay? So watch me and tell me if I'm reading with my eyes or not. You ready? I'm gonna use my spoon here.
A spoon.
This is the day you begin to find. How does that sound? Thumbs up or thumbs down for me? You're giving me thumbs down? Thumbs up. Am I reading with my eyes? No, I was touching each word, right? So I'm not getting big scoops. I'm just getting little scoops, right? I'm getting teeny, tiny scoops. I want to get big scoops so I can read my books better and faster and understand them more. So I want you to watch as I use my spoon, and I'm going to try to scoop up words that I think should go together, that sound right together, so I can read more smoothly. Because I don't want to sound like a robot. I want to sound like a person when I'm reading, right? So watch as I do that. This is the day you begin to find the places inside your laughter and your lunches, your books, your travel, and your stories. Did you see how I scooped a bunch of words together instead of reading word by word? Could you see how I did that? Would you read this with me, this first part? So I'm gonna scoop and you're gonna help me read it, okay? Ready? Watch. This is the day you begin to find the places inside your laughter and your lunches, your books, your travel, and your stories. Whoa, first graders. You just all read with your what?
Eyes.
With your eyes. Not one of you just read with your fingers. You just scooped all those words up and you only heard that once. Wow. So did you see what we did? Instead of reading word by word with our finger, we scooped up. All right, come on back. So I thought maybe you guys could try that a little bit, and then I'll help you. So what I'm going to do is, see this next section of the text? I'm going to read it really, really quick, and I'm going to read it word by word. I'm going to read it with my eyes, just so you know what all the words are. Then what I'd like you and your partner to do, I want you to see if you can pretend to use a spoon and scoop up some of those words. Okay? Do you think that sounds like a good idea? All right, so watch. I'm going to read each word for you. So everybody have your eyes on the text so you can see it as I touch each word. That way you guys can try to read it with your eyes instead of your finger. So I'm going to read it with my finger, but you try to read it with your eyes. So just listen and watch each word as I touch it. Where every new friend has something a little like you, and something else so fabulously, that's a big word, fabulously, not quite like you at all. So what I'd like you and your partner to do is work together to try to read this and scoop up some of those words. And then we'll come back and try to read it together. Okay, can you try to do that? So if you can't see the text that well, you can scoot yourselves over. You can come out here a little bit. But try to scoop up those words just like we did with the top. You ready to try it? All right, turn and talk with your partner. Try to read this part. Go ahead. So look at the text. Look at the text.